Hi, and welcome back, folks, to segment number 4 of the history of yesterday, today. For the next few segments, we are going to be looking at the coming of the railroad, given that this year is the 125th anniversary of the coming of the railway to Dauphin. And we hope to be able to tell you a little bit about the story as it was told in 1896. Now, being in the early part of October, we will pick up the story in the latter part of September and early October of 1896, 125 years ago, and bring you some of the news of the day up until the arrival of the railroad on November the 7th, 1896, at or around midnight, when the steel rail crossed over Gartmore Road, officially bringing the railway to Dauphin. The Lake Manitoba Rail and Canal Company had began laying the 100-mile road for the railway to Dauphin from Gladstone in July of 1896. An ambitious goal was to reach the new town of Dauphin before the snowfall, if at all possible. The road was chiseled into the countryside, making its way from Gladstone to the northwest, and bringing the outside world to many stops along the way. Some may know about Elliott's Landing and the development of the rail station at that point. Most, however, may only know Elliott's Landing by its modern name, McCurry. It was reported that grading of the road was almost completed as far as Elliott's, and the railroad continued through Laurier, Mackinac, Oka River, and then on to Dauphin. Lots happened in the few short months in 1896. With the efforts of hundreds of strong, able-bodied men, teams of horses, and simple equipment of the day, the dream of a railway into the Dauphin district was coming to fruition. In mid-August 1896, news reports included some of the following. There is apparently more activity in construction now than at any time this year. Work, however, has been progressing as rapidly as possible ever since the opening of spring, but owing to the extreme cold weather, progress was impeded. Surveying, grading, and fencing has been pushed ahead until now nearly the whole route from Gladstone to Grassy River is ready for the ties and rails. Mr. Donald Mann, the contractor of the Dauphin Railway, in an interview published in the Winnipeg Tribune since his return from Dauphin, has the following to say of the road and the district. Quote, "The worst of the work is now over, and with an ordinary fall, work can be pushed rapidly. This is an exceptionally wet year, the wettest since the country was settled, and it is not to be taken as a criterion of the general condition of the country. The land is capable of being easily drained into the Turtle River, and even the railway ditches have helped in carrying off a great deal of water and in showing what can be done in this way. 40 miles from Gladstone, the railway strikes the line of the Burroughs Road and follows along it for 20 miles. Then crosses to the west and runs between the Turtle River and the Riding Mountains in the most direct route to Dauphin settlement. The Dauphin Railway joins the Manitoba Northwestern Railway at milepost 36, 1 mile above the town of Gladstone. The length of the line to the village of Dauphin from this point is about 85 miles, making a total of 177 miles from Winnipeg. Unless something unexpected happens, Mr. Mann expects to see locomotives on the banks of the Fork River this fall, and he also expects that the road will carry out this year's crop from the Dauphin country. The crops in Dauphin are some of the finest he's ever seen. In the south, they have been kept back this year by the wet, but it is a great farming and stock-raising country. People may be seen going in every day this summer, locating on homesteads, and there can be no doubt that within 3 or 4 years the road will pay its way. The country for the first 40 miles or so north of Gladstone is open park country. North of that country is more heavily timbered. Water and hay are abundant. These three great necessities are among the things that are attracting settlers. In the Dauphin country, there is a natural grand drainage by the rivers running from the mountains into Lake Dauphin. Some of the most significant news of early September 1896 was that the new town, or Dauphin as it was to become known, was to be located on Section 10. Once the decision had been made, the town was to be plotted at once, and that the company would put a substantial bridge on the Vermilion River. In settling the long-disputed town site between Old Dauphin, Gartmar, or somewheres in the middle, Mr. Mann seems to have been actuated by the desire to strike a location suitable to most of the people while not overlooking the needs of the road, and at the same time not to create any ill feeling with those with whom he dealt. The final settlement of the vexed question was to be hailed with delight. More news. Dateline, Portage la Prairie, September 30th, 1896. A representative of the Portage Review sends his paper a very interesting account of the progress of work on the Dauphin Railway. Quote, 1 mile west of the town of Gladstone, the new line makes connection with the Manitoba and Northwestern Railway, and there to the north of the latter's tracks are several miles of side tracks filled with loaded cars of material, piles of ties, steel rails, fish plates, boxes of spikes, bridge timbers, signal boxes, switch apparatus, telephone poles, fence posts, and wire, and are arranged in order and convenient for loading and shipment as needed up the line. Here also are temporary buildings used as headquarters, dining and sleeping apartments for the employees, and on the tracks are several new box and flat cars initialed with the letters LMR and C Company, or in other words, the Lake Manitoba Railway and Canal Company. The whole surroundings bespeak the large amount being expended on the road and the confidence of the company in completing the line to the Dauphin country this fall. The grade is wider than usually thrown up and is one of the best ever constructed in the Northwest. The review reporter had the privilege of inspecting construction work on the railways in Manitoba, with the exception of the Manitoba and Northwestern Railway, and in his judgment, the Dauphin Railway will be the best roadbed in the province. North of the Jordan River, there is an abundance of first-class gravel, and even now the grade in that section is number 1. Another feature of the line is the level surface, and in no case will the grade exceed 3 feet to the mile, nor will it be necessary for any sharp curves. The entire line is not yet fenced, though wherever settlement prevails, a 4-strand wire fence has been erected along each side of the right-of-way, and men are constantly at work, extending this protection for the safety of cattle. Another report of September the 30th, 1896, of the Dauphin Herald and Press outlines that the town site is soon to be surveyed, and Messrs. Martin and Bemister are well on with the work of surveying the town site, and lots are practically ready, only awaiting the return of Mr. Burrows, who is expected soon, as also is Mr. Mann, who is very anxious to see the town opened up to the public. The survey has said that main and parallel streets cross the railway at right angles. As the railway goes diagonally northwest through Section 10, the streets will also be diagonal. There will be a street following closely on the trail which now goes along the riverbank. Lots are to be 50 feet by 132 feet, and lanes are to be 18 and 20 feet. Lots has happened in those very few short months, and more is about to happen. And we invite you to stay tuned for the next time in segment 5 as we follow the building of the road to Dauphin and bringing with it this year's 125th anniversary of the Lake Manitoba Railway and Canal Company arriving in Dauphin. Stay tuned. We'll be back.